For a long time, I had silently endured my wife's power games. But when she turned adultery into a hobby and openly challenged me in front of everyone, I decided to fight back. That's when I destroyed the career she was so proud of. Liam, 30, has been married to Madison, 34, for 8 years. Their relationship seems like an ideal couple, built on mutual respect and common ambitions. Liam, a cleaning worker, always admires Madison's efforts. She was successful in the corporate world, working in finance, and her rapid career advancement made him proud. Although his job was stable, he didn't make much money, so he took classes at night to change his career direction, hoping to bring a better future for both of them. Madison had been his biggest supporter, encouraging him to pursue his studies. Tell him she believes in his potential, but in the last few months, something has changed. Madison's support gradually turned to disdain. The enthusiastic shouts for his night classes were now replaced by glares and sarcasm about his slowness in improving their lives. The change in their relationship was subtle at first, starting with small criticisms like the way he chose to relax by playing games after work, his clothes not being as sharp as the men's, the grandfather she worked with, and his ambitions. It felt like those things were small compared to her achievements. Every comment was sarcastic, but Liam ignored it, believing it was just a passing frustration or stressful moment from her job. However, the tension between them only escalated. Arguments over small things like his entertainment preferences or the fact that he was sometimes late for studying became major conflicts. The small daggers that Madison once aimed were now outright attacks. "You'll never be successful, not like Derek," she said one night, referring to a colleague she'd recently started talking to. Liam initially tried to interpret her words, thinking she was just relieving stress, but soon he realized that her words were not only unintentional but also intended to hurt him. Her compliments of Derek were not innocent, but a clear reminder that in her eyes, he was failing as a husband. Liam begins to see the cracks in their relationship growing over time, but he is unprepared for what happens next. Real signs of trouble began to appear. The criticism became more and more sharp. Liam could no longer ignore this change. She often teases him about small things like the way he dresses, or the fact that he spends his free time playing recreational games. It seemed like everything about him annoyed her. The previous gentle words of encouragement have now turned into harsh words, making Liam feel like he is not good enough right in his own home. During quarrels, Madison holds nothing back. "You're such a failure," she said one night, her tone filled with contempt. The feeling from her words was truly profound. Liam begins to question his own worth. What started out as unintentional words became a toxic habit, and Liam felt it weighing on him. Every conversation with her became a confrontation, leaving him feeling emotionally exhausted. Madison's passive-aggressive behavior becomes increasingly severe. She often mentioned her colleague Derek in casual conversations, always highlighting his success. "Derek just bought a new car," she would say, her tone filled with admiration. "It's not just a harmless thing," commenting that it was a deliberate comparison to remind Liam of what he has not achieved. He couldn't help but feel increasingly inferior. Over time, Liam began to suspect that Madison was not only disappointed with him, but was also intentionally causing an argument. She seemed to enjoy the power she had, always teasing him and enjoying the discomfort it brought. Her words became increasingly cruel, and Liam noticed a pattern emerging. Every time he tried to talk to her about their problems, she changed the story. The conversation made him feel like he was the one at fault, and he began to doubt his own feelings, wondering if he was imagining the manipulation as the tension between them increased. Madison's cruelty has reached its peak, no longer just personal. She begins complimenting Derek in ways that make Liam feel uncomfortable, implying that Derek is more of a man because can take care of the family. Liam realizes that something deeper is going on. The burden of their relationship has reached its limit. A breaking point, and Liam was no longer sure if they could make it back. Liam's feelings of suspicion begin to solidify when he stumbles upon an email between Madison and her coworker, Derek. He had no intention of invading her privacy, but when he used her laptop to send a quick message to the evening class, a tab opened revealing the conversation between the two. The email was vague, but the tone was unmistakable, full of flirtation. This was enough to make Liam's stomach turn. Madison has never been careless with her privacy. Before, this communication and carelessness felt intentional to him, as if she wanted him to find out. Over the next few weeks, Madison's behavior only made him more nervous. She no longer locks her phone or closes her laptop when she leaves, leaving private messages that can easily be viewed. Liam couldn't shake the feeling that this was her way of boasting about her infidelity, reminding him that he wasn't good enough. The more careless she was, the more evidence he collected, not just Derek's. She had flirtations with 2 other men at the office, text messages filled with subtle innuendo and hints of more than a professional relationship. Each discovery causes Liam more pain than the last. He felt like he was trapped in a nightmare that he couldn't wake up from, helpless to face the growing betrayal that was surrounding him. Madison's indifference to their marriage, her willingness to openly engage in these flirtations, made him feel like a fool. The image of the life they had built together quickly shattered before their eyes. While sitting with her laptop, one day, his eyes suddenly stopped. Another message confirmed his worst fears. Dirk's words this time were clear, leaving no doubt. They had crossed the line and there was no turning back. This love is not only emotional, but also physical. Realizing that was like a tsunami coming, Liam felt like the ground beneath his feet collapsed. Madison not only betrayed him, but openly flaunted it, using those relationships to hurt his confidence and assert her control over him. Liam knew that, at that moment, his marriage was completely broken. Liam's emotions reached their limit after seeing the latest text message from Derek. Not just another suggestive comment. This time Derek made it clear that their relationship had become physical. Those words seemed to be imprinted in Liam's mind, confirming what he had always feared. He couldn't continue to ignore the truth, and the feeling of betrayal was too much to bear. That night, Liam waited for Madison to come home, his heart beating fast and his mind replaying every hurtful word, every cruel look, and every piece of evidence he had. When she walked in, it was as if nothing had changed. The anger that had been simmering inside him finally exploded. "I know about you and Derek," Liam said, his voice calm but filled with emotion. Madison didn't seem surprised. Instead of denying or showing remorse, she just laughed, the cold, mocking sound like a knife stabbing him. "You finally realized," she said, her voice filled with disdain. "I was wondering how long it would take you to understand." Liam's hands clenched into fists, in anger, but mostly because of the feeling of helplessness in that moment. Liam asked, "Why? Why did you do that?" He searched her face for any sign of remorse or guilt, but there was none. Madison smirked, leaned comfortably against the kitchen counter and said, "Because you're weak, Liam. You're not strong enough for me, and you never will be. Derek and all the other men I've known are much stronger than you." Her words were like a knife that cut deeper than betrayal. Liam felt his world fall apart, but instead of falling, something inside him changed. Helplessness turned into fierce determination. He would not let her continue to look down on him, would not let her take away his dignity little by little. He had quietly collected everything Liam said, his voice calm, all the emails, texts, evidence of her affairs. He ended it with her. For the first time, Madison's confidence wavered. She looked at him, the smile on her lips gradually fading. "You wouldn't dare," she said, but Liam didn't blink. "Look, I'm going to divorce you, and I'm going to make sure everyone knows who you are." The power has shifted. In that moment, Madison underestimated Liam, and now Liam was the one in control. With new determination, Liam set to work gathering all the evidence he had accumulated over the past few weeks. Every flirtatious email, every sensitive text, and every unprofessional exchange between Madison and her colleagues, especially Derek, were all carefully documented. He knew that simply walking away was not enough. Madison not only betrayed him, but also enjoyed his pain. Now is the time for her to face it. In the aftermath of her actions, Liam worked very carefully to not miss any details. He created an email that was sent to several key players in Madison's company, including senior executives, her colleagues, and even some of their most important customers. The email contained all the evidence of her inappropriate relationships with Derek and other men at work, as well as screenshots showing how careless she was in letting the information slip. Corporate sensitivities are not protected. He hesitated a bit, minutes before he pressed send. He knew the storm would erupt, but the sight of Madison's mocking laughter as she teased him spurred him forward. He pressed the button and the message flew out into the world. The consequences were immediate. Within hours, Liam received news that Madison had thrown the company into chaos. The directors were angry with her unprofessional behavior, and her reputation was in tatters. Customers withdrew from their contracts, and colleagues who were once attracted to her now avoided her like the plague. Madison has always prided itself on its impeccable corporate image, but now everything is shattered. Of course, Madison tried to confront him. She stormed into the house, her face red with anger, demanding to know why he did that to her. But Liam was calm. Even when she screamed and blamed, he filed for a restraining order, cutting off all contact with her. Now, there was nothing she could do to hurt him anymore. As Madison's career crumbles around her, Liam feels like he's found liberation. Liam had endured her emotional abuse for so long, but now the tables were turned. He had his revenge, and for the first time in years, he felt free. After everything calmed down, Liam began to rebuild his life. The divorce was finalized quickly because Madison was too busy with her career problems to fight over anything important with him. Evidence of her infidelity and unprofessional behavior left her reputation in tatters, and she quietly moved to a new city to try to start over. For Liam, it's a release that Liam needed for a long time but didn't realize until everything fell apart. As he completed his evening classes and began looking for new career opportunities, Liam felt a sense of accomplishment. He overcame the darkest moments in his life and became stronger. No longer burdened by Madison's cruelty and manipulation, he feels lighter and more focused. The future that once seemed bleak now looks promising, although the emotional scars from the relationship remain. Liam felt relieved to know that he no longer had to endure the constant insults and teasing. His confidence, undermined by Madison, slowly returned. He begins to reconnect with old friends, whom he had estranged during his marriage, and finds support from those who care about him. Liam often reflected on the years he spent trying to please Madison, wondering why he hadn't noticed the signs of her betrayal sooner, but he didn't dwell on that thought. Instead, he focused on self-development, using the pain of his past as motivation to move forward in the new career path he was pursuing. What he had previously suspected now felt like a tangible reality. There are still times when the memories of Madison's cruel words come flooding back, but Liam has learned to put them aside. He knew that with time, his emotional wounds would heal and he would become stronger. For the first time in years, he felt free from the toxic relationship, free to live his life on his own terms and the freedom to find himself. This journey has been difficult, but now Liam is ready to embrace the future and all the opportunities it brings. Thank you for listening. See you soon again in the next episode. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. Goodbye.